Hey folks, it's Grant over here at Local Cooling Farms. It's part two of putting the coffee grounds into the vegetable garden plot and tilling it in. So I'm out here today. Yesterday, part one, I just put out the 16 or so cubic yards of the non-composted coffee grounds over the 50 by 100 foot area. And then I'm getting ready to till it in. I got the tiller hooked up. I'm gonna flip you around, show you what we're up to. All right, so I'm sitting on the tractor, and this is the area, approximately 50 by 100 foot area. We actually had added material to this several years ago and tilled it and rode it. We had somebody over here tinkering with doing some vegetables. They ended up, after that, they ended up launching their own little vegetable farm. They're still doing that today, so it's pretty cool. So anyway, so we're basically redoing that, what we had over here. I'm on the Yamar 3110, and I've got the 4-foot tiller hooked up to it, and that's what we're doing. All right, we got it done. We tilled up the whole thing. Again, this is a 50 by 100 foot area, and we put about 16 or so cubic yards of coffee beans, coffee grounds, different variations of coffee waste streams in here. We did the calculations based upon the depth of the tiller and the square footage. I figured that I could put in easily about 30% coffee. And so that ended up being right at that 16, 18 cubic yards on average. And it really did mix it in very well with the native soil. So it's really well fluffed. It's like walking on a bed right now. And so there's a lot of decomp that needs to happen here. And so what we're gonna do is that we're gonna cover this with some silage tarps, and we're gonna let it cook down for a bit. Again, we're still, in the early parts of August, Southeast Louisiana. And so we have, a couple weeks of really hot weather where we're not really gonna plant all that much. And then our goal here is to plant for the fall. And the cool thing about our fall, it's like the reverse of spring. It starts hot and ends up cold about the same time period that we have in spring, where it gets warm and it gets too hot. And so we have enough growing time in our spring to do a round of cucumbers or squash or beans or tomatoes or whatever. The only bad thing about the tomatoes is that if we start getting into December, it starts getting cold, or November starts getting cold, we start having issues with the vine ripening. So you can just have to ripen inside the house, or pull out the cookbook and do some green tomato recipes, which is fine as well. So what we're going to do here for sure is that I got some cushaw that we're putting in, which is just a type of squash, like pumpkin squash. I like that because it's going to be the vine so thick it really keeps off the vine borers. And so we're going to do that. We're going to do some potatoes. We're going to do a couple of other things. And this also is a big experiment for us. This is the first time I've actually had the time to go ahead and put this in. And so I'm pretty excited about it. Again, we're a livestock operation. So we're farming livestock for protein with our egg sales, our beef sales, pork sales, goat sales, things of that nature. We're really not doing this, for an income stream. This is more of like that homesteading, on-farm recreation type of thing that we have going on here. And the cool thing about this is what I'd like to do as we have time is that I could pick a point or a spot in any part of the farm or in any part of the pasture. We've got about 50 acres of pasture. I can say, you know what? I want to put a garden bed right here, and then we can go ahead and bring in all the materials that we have inbound, that we compost, the crab shell, the coffee, all this kind of stuff. We can make a windrow compost pile on a big area like this, let it cook, come back and spread the whole thing, till it in, silage tarp it, and then come back and plant, and then just let it go right back to pasture. The times that we have done this before. The one time that we really did this before, which was basically in this area, this exact spot, The grasses that came up after doing this was absolutely insane. And so if I had all the material in the world and the budget and everything, I'd probably do an initial till on the entire farm with adding about 20-30% by volume of that surface and organic matter, and just let it go, and it will completely change the farm. And as a side note, sometimes I have people give me shit about when we do this type of tilling, the whole no-till deal. This is an appropriate use of a tiller. We're not tilling huge swaths of acreage. This isn't 100 acres that we tilled, and I added in organic matter. So again, I added 16 cubic yards to this 50 foot by 100 foot area. That's like, each cubic yard probably weighs like 500 pounds. So whatever 16 times 500 is, that's the weight, that's the tonnage that we added into the spot. So something like 10 or 12 tons, whatever it ended up being in here, because these coffee grounds were dry. They were not wet coffee grounds, so the weight per cubic yard was lower than wet coffee grounds. So we added in a huge amount of material here, and we simply incorporated it in with the tiller. This is kind of like no different than composting in a windrow with a windrow turner, tiller, whatever. So we're basically, again, we're doing this like horizontal composting in this spot. And so that's what we're doing here. I'm not going to go back, and we're not going to do this every year. This is almost a one and done thing. And I'm a real big fan of the no-till garden beds, 30-inch spacing with silage tarps. And so if we use the silage tarp method on here and then heavy mulch, we never really have to do this again in this spot. So this is this really is a one-time thing. So if you're a market gardener and you want to establish a in-ground no-till garden bed, this is probably what you're going to need to do to get a really good jump start. Again, I'm talking for Southeast Louisiana. That's my opinion for this area. I am a licensed horticulturalist, FYI, and so this is what I would do in our area with our soils. I can't speak for other soils, but this is what I would do as an initial thing if you want to do in-ground beds. And then this is an 1/8 of an acre right here. And so if you're market gardening and you got like 3 acres of market gardening, I mean, that's a lot of space if you're doing the 30-inch intensive rows. So anyway, that's my rant on that. We'll put out a part 3 when we put the silage tarps down. And then we'll just keep you posted. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to shoot them. Good.